It removes the regulatory uncertainties because it has now cancelled the licenses which were given in 2008. Therefore, issues such as merger and acquisition, incentivizing those measures, or to finalize exit policy, they more or less get answered as a result of the Supreme Court decision. The second most important point is that it also establishes the relationship between the DOT and TRAI, because Supreme Court has now clearly said that before issue of any new license, the Department of Telecom must seek the recommendation of TRAI on the need, the timing, and also the terms and conditions by which the licenses will be given.
Mr. Mishra, is there a sense that the government didn't act enough, didn't do enough, and that's why the Supreme Court has had to take such a strong stance in the matter?
I would not like to comment on that because, you know, those are issues which are still being examined by the trial court, where the entire matter is at the moment under consideration. But it is very clear that the implementation as was done was obviously not transparent.
All right, I want to quickly bring in Sandeep Banzai again. Sandeep, there's a sense that what has happened today, the Supreme Court cancelling these licenses, is something that ideally the government should have done itself once all these allegations came up and it was pretty much sort of put on the table that these spectrum licenses were issued in a wrong manner. Do you think the government should have done this before the Supreme Court took it up?
Go there, because that will open a Pandora's box and I'll take 10 minutes to explain that. But let me give you a legal precedent from the Supreme Court which is pertinent to this case. You remember the petrol pump scam?
Yeah.
What happened there? All those petrol pumps which were given out were cancelled, were rescinded. So there is a legal precedent. Now, there was a question that if a decision of this magnitude is taken by the court, it impacts the investment climate of this country. Given that there are 4 foreign entities who have invested, Sistema from Russia, Batelco, which is Bahrain Telecom from Bahrain, Telenor from Norway, and Etisalat from the United Arab Emirates. Now, if you remember last year, the Prime Minister of Norway, Jens Stoltenberg, actually wrote to the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, saying categorically that please take a view on this matter because this legal uncertainty. Remember that this judgment is reserved since March 2011. It's taken 10 months for this judgment to come on D-Day, which is his last day. So there was a letter written saying please take a view on this because this legal regulatory uncertainty does not make India a very happy place to do business in. Nothing happened. And today we've seen that the executive's failure has once again seen the judiciary enter the vacuum and take a view on the matter, and the view is very strong. So will it impact the investment climate? Because I'll give you one more precedent, that of Enron. When Enron capsized in India, nobody has since, nobody, and I mean nobody has come in since to invest in India's power sector. So yes, if you look at the business climate, the investment climate, there is going to be an adverse impact. But in terms of judicial activism, in terms of rule of law, in terms of what is right, in terms of what is legal and what is illegal, today we have a landmark judgment which proves conclusively that what happened on Jan 10 was wrong.
Landmark judgment that proves once and for all that what happened on Jan 10 was wrong. Just another instance, as Sandeep just pointed out, of government inaction, forcing the judiciary to step in and take a view on this. We're going to slip into a very, very brief break.